Picture this. It's 2026. Gas just hit another record. Your grocery bill looks like a mortgage payment, and you're merging onto the highway in your Camry, your Accord, your RAV4, your CRV, whatever Japanese workhorse you trusted to outlive the economy. You press the pedal, and then it happens. That sickening half second of nothing, the RPMs flare up to 4,000, 5,000, the engine screams like it's been stabbed, and then bang. The transmission slams into gear so hard your coffee jumps out of the cup holder and your kid in the back seat asks if the car is broken. Your stomach drops, because you already know what's coming. The transmission shop, the grim face, the clipboard, the quote. $4,000, $4,200 with tax. Maybe $4,800 if they find more damage when they open it up. They tell you the clutch packs are toast, the valve body is shot. They use words like catastrophic wear and internal contamination. They show you a printout from a scan tool with a code on it. P700, P731, something that sounds terrifying, and they say the only fix is a full rebuild or a remanufactured unit. And you, the working person, the one who already can't afford anything in this economy, you sign the paper. Because what choice do you have? Now listen to me very carefully, because what I am about to tell you is going to make every transmission shop owner in your zip code want to find out my home address. That violent slam, that slip, that flare, that clunk, 90% of the time on a modern Japanese automatic transmission has absolutely nothing to do with the transmission. The gears are fine. The clutches are fine. The valve body is fine. The problem is a $5 can of cleaner and a tiny piece of wire the size of a paperclip sitting on top of your engine. And the Stealerships have built an empire on the fact that you don't know that. So before we go 1 second further, let me be clear about what this channel is. The transmission shops making billions of dollars off your slipping gears want you to think automatic transmissions are untouchable black boxes. Only a wizard with a $50,000 diagnostic machine can ever understand. They aren't. It's basic electronic data translation, basic physics, basic hot wire anemometry. The same principle Toyota and Honda and Nissan engineers have used since the late 1980s. But as always, I am sharing this for educational purposes only. I am not your mechanic. I am not under your car. I am a researcher and a master tech who is tired of watching working families get robbed in broad daylight by an industry that thrives on diagnostic fear. Let's talk about what is actually happening inside your car when you press that pedal. Because once you understand this, you will never be lied to again. Your engine has a brain. It's called the ECU, the Engine Control Unit. Your transmission also has a brain. It's called the TCM, the Transmission Control Module. These two computers are not separated. They are not independent. They are in a constant, screaming conversation with each other through a network bus, dozens of times per second, every single second your car is running. This is what I call TCM cross-communication, and it is the most important thing happening inside your vehicle that nobody at the Stealership counter is going to explain to you. The TCM does not decide when to shift based on how fast the wheels are spinning. It does not shift blindly. A modern Aisin transmission, a modern Jatco unit, a ZF, any of them, they calculate the exact moment of the shift and the exact firmness of that shift based on something called engine load data. Engine load data is basically the TCM asking the ECU one question over and over again. How hard is the driver actually working this engine right now? And the ECU answers that question using two tiny, fragile, plastic-bodied sensors. Number one, the mass airflow sensor, the MAF, usually a Denso or a Hitachi unit sitting in the intake tube right after your air filter. Number two, the throttle position sensor, the TPS, mounted on the throttle body itself. Together, these two sensors tell the ECU exactly how much air is rushing into the engine and exactly how far open the throttle plate is. The ECU does the math, calculates load as a percentage, and shoots that number down the data bus to the TCM. The TCM takes that load number and uses it to command something inside the transmission called hydraulic line pressure. Hydraulic line pressure is the entire ballgame. It is the pressurized transmission fluid that squeezes the clutch packs together inside the gearbox. Low engine load means low line pressure, soft, gentle, buttery shifts when you're cruising. High engine load means high line pressure, firm, fast, aggressive shifts so the clutches don't slip when you stomp on the gas to merge. Now imagine what happens, just imagine when that MAF sensor lies to the ECU. The driver floors the pedal, the throttle plate flies wide open, air is screaming into the engine. But the dirty MAF sensor reports back, oh, just a normal cruise, only 40 grams per second of air. The ECU calculates low engine load. The TCM commands low line pressure. And then Half a second later, the transmission realizes the driver is actually flooring it, the load data spikes, the pressure tries to catch up, and you get that violent bang, that slip, that flare, that clunk that the Stealership swears is a destroyed clutch pack. It's not. It's a data lie. It's a corrupted electrical signal causing a hydraulic mismatch. If you're tired of transmission shops rebuilding gearboxes when the electronics are to blame, hit that like button right now, because every single like on this video punches a hole in the algorithm that the repair lobby has been pushing down on small mechanic channels like this one. And tell me in the comments if your automatic transmission has ever clunked, flared, slipped, or slammed into gear, and what the shop quoted you to fix it. I want to see the receipts. I want to see the $4,000 quotes. Subscribe and hit the bell before the transmission repair lobby gets this channel demonetized like they did the last 3. Let's talk about the villain. Let's talk about how this scam actually plays out, step by step, because I've watched it happen to my neighbors, to my own mother, to thousands of viewers who have emailed me. You walk into the Stealership transmission department, you describe the slipping, the hard shift, the flare. The service writer's eyes light up like a slot machine just hit. He already knows what he's going to write on the work order. He takes the car for a 5-minute drive. He triggers the symptom. He brings it back. He plugs in his scan tool, which, by the way, costs them about $600, but they bill you $180 an hour to use it. He pulls a generic code, maybe a P731 incorrect gear ratio, maybe a P700 transmission control system malfunction, maybe just a soft code with no light at all. He doesn't look at the live data stream from the MAF. He doesn't look at the TPS voltage curve. He doesn't compare the calculated load to the commanded line pressure. Why would he? There is no money in cleaning a sensor. There is enormous money in a transmission rebuild. So he tells you, ma'am, sir, your clutch packs are slipping, your valve body is contaminated, we need to pull the transmission, rebuild it, the labor alone is 30 hours, parts are another $1,500, you're looking at $4,000. But here's the good news, we can finance it. They will finance your unnecessary repair at 24% APR. Let that sink in. A $4,000 repair, financed for 60 months, you end up paying close to $6,000, all because nobody cleaned a piece of wire the size of a staple. The labor math alone is criminal. 30 hours of labor at $180 an hour is $5,400 just in labor, and they discount it down to make you feel grateful. Compare that to a 2-minute sensor cleaning with a $5 can of MAF-safe cleaner. 2 minutes, $5, versus 30 hours and $4,000. That is not a repair industry. That is an extraction industry. They are not fixing your car. They are mining your bank account using diagnostic fear as the pickaxe. Now let's get into the actual science of why this sensor lies, because once you understand the physics, you will never doubt this fix again. A mass airflow sensor, specifically the hot wire type that Denso and Hitachi have been building for Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, and Subaru for decades, is a piece of platinum wire heated to a very specific temperature, usually around 200 degrees Celsius above ambient air temperature. The ECU sends a tiny electrical current through that wire to keep it hot. When you press the gas pedal and air rushes into the engine, the moving air cools that wire down. The ECU has to push more current through the wire to maintain the target temperature. The amount of additional current required is converted into a voltage signal, and that voltage signal is the air mass reading. It is one of the most elegant pieces of engineering in your entire car. Now here is where the betrayal happens. Over 20, 30, 50,000 miles, microscopic particles, oil mist from the crankcase ventilation system, dust that slipped past the air filter, even fine pollen. They coat that platinum wire in a thin, almost invisible film. We are talking microns of contamination. You can barely see it with the naked eye, but that film acts as a thermal insulation blanket. It changes the thermodynamic relationship between the air and the wire. The wire can't shed heat as fast anymore, which means when air rushes in, the cooling response is delayed by milliseconds. The voltage signal lags. The ECU, which is doing thousands of calculations per second, reads that lagging voltage and concludes, falsely, that less air is entering the engine than actually is. This is data corruption at the most fundamental physical level. The sensor is not broken. It is not throwing a code. It is just lying, slowly, quietly, by a margin of 15–20%. And that 15% lie is enough to make the TCM completely mismanage line pressure on every single shift. The same exact principle applies to the throttle position sensor, where the carbon tracking on the resistive strip causes voltage dropouts as the pedal sweeps through its range. The TPS sends a signal that should be a smooth, clean, linear ramp from 0.5 volt to 4.5 volts. When it's dirty or worn, it sends a jagged, stuttering signal full of microscopic dropouts. The ECU and TCM see those dropouts as the driver lifting off the gas, even for milliseconds, and they reset the shift logic mid-shift, causing that exact violent shift flare you feel. Here is exactly how you fix a $4,000 problem with $5 and 10 minutes in your driveway, and you don't need to be a mechanic to do this. Step 1. Go to any auto parts store, any of them, and buy a can of MAF sensor cleaner. It has to say MAF safe or mass airflow sensor cleaner on the label. Do not use brake cleaner. Do not use carb cleaner. Do not use throttle body cleaner. Those will destroy the platinum wire. MAF cleaner is specifically formulated to evaporate cleanly with zero residue, about $5 to $8 a can. Step 2. Open your hood. Find the big plastic intake tube running from your air filter box to your engine. On that tube, usually within 6 inches of the airbox, you will see a small plastic sensor with an electrical connector plugged into it, held in with 2 small screws. That is your MAF. Step 3. Make sure the engine is completely cold and the key is out of the ignition. Unplug the electrical connector, remove the 2 screws, carefully slide the sensor straight out of the tube. You will see a small recessed chamber inside with the tiny platinum wire suspended across it. Do not, under any circumstances, touch that wire with anything. Not a Q-tip, not a rag, not your finger. Step 4. Hold the sensor over a paper towel and spray the MAF cleaner into the chamber, 10 to 15 short bursts, letting it flow over the wire and drip off. The dust and oil film will dissolve and run off. Step 5. Let it air dry completely for 15 minutes. The cleaner will evaporate fully. Step 6. Slide it back in, screws back in, connector back on. Start the car. Let it idle for 2 minutes so the ECU recalibrates the new clean baseline. Take it for a drive. The data stream corrects instantly, line pressure is restored, your transmission shifts like butter. Done. $5. 10 minutes. While the Stealership was quoting you $4,000 to rebuild a transmission that had absolutely nothing wrong with it. So before you sign that $4,000 paper, before you finance a transmission rebuild at 24%, before you let them tear apart a perfectly healthy Asian gearbox that was built to last 300,000 miles, try the $5 fix first. Hold these Stealerships accountable. Share this video with every working person you know who drives a Toyota, a Honda, a Nissan, anyone who has been quoted a transmission rebuild in the last 6 months. Comment below with your story, your quote, your fix. Subscribe to the channel so the algorithm can't bury this. And remember, they don't fear the master mechanic. They fear the informed customer. Stay sharp.